श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितां च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. Thank you very much to all the devotees for joining for our today's session. So as mentioned, today we will discuss a quick overview of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, since this 1 week is called Bhagavat Bhadra Purnima week, where Sukadeva Goswami narrated Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj during these 7 days, that from the day after Radhashtami all the way up to the upcoming Purnami, which is going to happen on 18th Bhadra Purnima. So today Ekadashi, tomorrow Dwadashi, that is Vamana Dvadashi, and then Trayodasi, Chaturdashi, and then Purnima. So in that way. So many years back, we published one small book, Bhagavatam as a Seeker Journey, how the 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam will help a seeker, a practitioner in their progressive journey going back to spiritual world. So anyway, so at the beginning of every canto, we generally discuss the overview of that particular canto and the connection from the previous canto to the current canto. So keeping that in mind, we will, before beginning the seventh canto, we will kind of seeing the overview of the entire Bhagavatam. So in that way, we'll start. So someone can read this? Anyone?
Yes, Prabhuji, I will read.
Please, Mataji.
I have traveled across the length and the breadth of India, and I have not seen one person who is beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber, that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. And therefore, I propose that we replace her old and ancient education system, her culture. For if the Indians think that all that is foreign and the English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self esteem, their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation. Lord Macaulay addressed a British Parliament on 2nd Feb 1835. Haribol.
Even before this, Lord Macaulay employed Max Muller, one of the literary expert. Lord Macaulay is like governor, according to British and this thing. But Max Muller is like a literary expert. So he was traveling all over India, length and breadth of entire India. And his observations we can see from this letter, which Lord Macaulay read in British Parliament many years back, 1835. That was their initial days in India when East India Company came to Calcutta and started occupying small areas, originally as the businessmen, eventually as the rulers, and they spread throughout the India. So this is what it is. In the last couple of days, here in IIT Monday, the Bhagavatam classes we were discussing from third canto, chapter 8, wherein Vidura asking so many questions to Maitreya to know more about the Supreme Lord, more about Bhakti, more about various aspects of us living in this world, etc. Then Maitreya says that in order to answer all your questions, I need to speak to you Bhagavatam, which was originally spoken by Lord Sankarshana unto four Kumaras. Then eventually four Kumaras spoke the same Bhagavatam to Sankyana Rishi. Sankyana Rishi spoke the same Bhagavatam to Brihaspati and Parashara. And Parashara spoke the same Bhagavatam to me and my colleague Vyasa. Both of them were same students in the same school. And now I will speak the same Bhagavatam to you, which will answer to all your questions and which is the solution for all the problems in this world. So, which Vidura saw personally being the Prime Minister of the Hastinapur, etc., etc. So, but whatever it is in one sense, Srimad Bhagavatam is the solutions to all our problems altogether. But before accepting the solution of Srimad Bhagavatam, we also need to accept the solution given by Srimad Ramayanam. And before that, we need to accept the solution given by Mahabharata. Whatever we can see from this, how Indians were taken care very nicely without having even one person as beggar. The reason was in India, each and every person knew Mahabharata, Ramayana, and Bhagavatam. And these three literatures will give a solution to each and every problem at every level: physical level, mental level, spiritual level, and the bodily level, emotional level, and transcendental level. Because every village, every home, people knew Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavatam, and there was no need for them to go to the so-called the modern quote unquote corporate school or convent school or English medium schools, etc., etc. Because since the time of their birth, they would hear Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Bhagavatam, and they know everything, and they also know how to tackle the problems. For everything, they have solution from these literatures. But slowly, Britishers, by introducing their British way of education, have taken us far away from the traditional method of learning. In order to learn the lessons of life from Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavatam, one no need to go to Gurukul. People used to go to Gurukul to study the Vedas, which are deeper. That may be required only for Brahmanas, to some extent for Kshatriyas, but not for everyone. Common people, if they know Mahabharata, Ramayana, even little bit Bhagavatam, that is more than enough for them to live as a sane man in this world. That was the cultural heritage of India. But somehow or other, we have drifted away so far, so far, so far. Today, people start saying that Bhagavad Gita? What Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita text for old men. We don't need. Why do we need Bhagavad Gita? And why do we need other literatures, Ramayana, Mahabharata? They say that outrightly, they say these are all mythology. And it is very fashionable to say that. And people feel so proud that these are all mythology. So that is the current scenario in India. So what can be done? But still, whatever it is, even today also, if we take shelter of Mahabharata, Ramayana, and Bhagavatam, they offer solutions to us at all levels. Of course, since we have chosen the path of bhakti, since we have chosen uh, the journey back to Godhead, so Bhagavatam is the apt literature for that. But even for those who want to live in this material world, especially in this modern Kali Yuga, which is filled with so many difficulties, Mahabharata and Ramayana offers the solutions how to lead and how to live our life in this material world. And how to leave this material world and go back to Godhead, Bhagavatam shows the solution. So all these scriptures have their respective roles to play. Mahabharata teaches us how to live. Ramayana teaches us how to lead. And Bhagavatam teaches us how to live from this world. So in whatever it is. But combining all these three, how and where they stand. So this is a verse coming from Garuda Purana, which Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhyalila. This is Madhyalila 25th chapter, wherein Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking to Sanatana Goswami. This is the last chapter of Sanatana Shiksha. In his concluding verses, he says that Bhagavatam is the summum bonum of all Vedic literatures. In order to establish that, this verse is quoted by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu onto Sanatana Goswami, wherein the verse says, Arthoyam Brahmasutranam Bharatartha Vinirnayam Gayatri Bhasha Ruposau Vedartha Paribhrahmita Purananam Samarupa Sakshat Bhagavatodita Dvadasha Skandayuktoyam Shata Vicheda Samyutaha Granto Ashtadisahasram Srimad Bhagavatabdida. The ocean of Srimad Bhagavatam is considered Arthoyam Brahmasutranam, the natural commentary of Brahma Sutra, and Bharatartha Vinirnaya. It establishes the true meaning of Mahabharata. Gayatri Bhasha Ruposau. It is Bhashya unto Gayatri Mantra. And Vedartha Paribramita. It is endowed with, or it is filled with, the true meaning of the Vedas. And among the Puranas, it is like Samaveda. Among the Vedas, Samaveda considered to be the best. Similarly, among the Puranas, Bhagavatam is the best. Sakshat Bhagavatoditaha, directly spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here, spoken means compiled by Srila Vyasadeva. And also, we can also say, in the Bhagavatam, we can second canto, we see that it was directly spoken by Lord Narayana to Brahma, Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasa, and elaborated. And just now we saw that Lord Sankarsana to four Kumaras, then Sankyayana, then Brihaspati, Parashara, Maitreya, Vidura. So in that way. Dvadasha Skanda Yuktoyam Shata Vicheda Samyutam. There are 12 cantos and 100 pastimes. The conclusion of each and every pastime is Bhakti. Nothing else. Bhakti, Bhakti, Bhakti. And Grantaha Ashtadasha Sahasra. This Grantha contains 18,000 shlokas and it is known as Srimad Bhagavata Abdida. It is the ocean of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, concisely, what is Bhagavatam is indicated in this verse. So, this is Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsamekamalam Jnanam Param Giyate Tatra Jnana Viraga Bhakti Saitam Naishkarmyam Avishkrutam Tashrunvan Supatan Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchen Nara. Those who are called as human beings, those who want to be called as Nara, human beings, if they hear, if they read, if they discuss and contemplate upon, then what will happen? They will attain bhakti. and by that bhakti, they will be liberated. So this is the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. And that Bhagavatam talks about Rajeshwari Mataji, kindly mute.
No, that mobile, I joined in the mobile, that is not going. A minute. I started computer now.
Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. So I hope now devotees are able to hear me. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
yes,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
thank you,
Yes,
thank
yes,
you.
Prabhuji. We are able to hear you.
Yeah, please mute. So now one may ask question: what makes Bhagavatam qualified to liberate us? Why all of us regard Bhagavatam so highly? What is so special about Bhagavatam? The specialty of Bhagavatam is it is Amala Purana. It is very dear to Vaishnavas, and it provides the Amalam Jnanam, not ordinary Amalam Jnanam, Param Amalam Jnanam and Paramahamsam Ekam Priyam Giyate. The one and only one thing which is dearmost thing for the Paramahamsas is Parama Amala Jnanam. So one may think that here Jnana means what kind of Jnana? Jnana, what Jnana? Here Jnana means Bhakti. It is Param Jnanam and it is Amalam Param Jnanam. It is the topmost knowledge and uncontaminated topmost knowledge. That is called unalloyed devotional service. Uttama Bhakti or Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti. The USP of Bhagavatam is unalloyed devotional service. It offers uncontaminated, unalloyed devotional service. That is the greatness of Bhagavatam. In addition to that, Tatra in that Bhagavatam, Jnana Viraga Bhakti Saitam Naishkarmam Avishkrutam. It also talks about the other components of unalloyed devotional service. Ahetuki Bhakti are Nishkama Karma Yoga, Mishra Bhakti, Ashtanga Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. It also talks about other things which are a supporting instruments for the Uttama Bhakti. So this is the greatness of Bhagavatam. And when we read or when we hear, read or do, contemplate, discuss among others, we'll get to know about all these things. As a result of that, we get Prema Bhakti. And that Prema Bhakti is only thing which will take us back to Godhead. Unless and until we come to the Prema Bhakti platform, we are not qualified to go back to Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam Purana Mamalam Yad Vaishnavanam Prem. Okay, is the same thing. So now, but you are telling that we need to get Prema Bhakti in order to go back to Godhead. But currently our situation is like this. Prayena Alpayushasabhya Kalau Asmin Yugejana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagyahi Upadrataha. All of us, whoever born in Kali Yuga, by default we are short-lived. Yeah, 60, 70, 80, 90, at max 100. And that too we don't know. Even after 60, are we going to live healthily? Is our body cooperative, mind cooperative, so that we can do something, we can read something, we can speak about something? Not sure. So in that way, even if somebody is, in spite of being short-lived, are we interested in spiritual subject matter? Bhagavatam says we are manda. We are lazy to investigate into spiritual subject matters. Even if somebody is not lazy, even if they try to understand what Atma is all about, what Paramatma is all about. But We don't have that kind of intelligence to ponder over the subject matter. Sumanda Matayo, we are very much unintelligent to discern the subject matter related to Atma and Paramatma. Even if somebody is having that intellectual inclination, intellectual temperament, and we approach some teacher, don't have any guarantee that the teacher will be a bona fide teacher coming in the bona fide sampradaya, mandabhagya. We are highly unfortunate because there are so many bogus teachers all around. We may end up with bogus teacher. But even though if we come across a bona fide teacher, there are so many difficulties physically, mentally, societally. So upadritaha. There are constant disturbances, adhyatmika, adibhautika, adidaivika, etc. etc. So like that, in spite of all these difficulties, if somebody has come to spiritual, bona fide spiritual master and then learn the practice of bhakti, and eventually one day there's a chance that one will have darshan of the Supreme Lord. Maybe in front of our eyes, maybe within our heart, maybe some experience of the Supreme Lord. Then we say that, my dear Lord, looking for solutions to my material problems. Artho Jignashur Artharthi. I have come to you, but I have got you. I have obtained your audience. I have obtained your experience. Harer Anubhavata. Hari Darshana and Hari Anubhava. In the first canto, second chapter, Sutta Goswami tells how one progresses in the stages of bhakti. Finally, one comes to Hari Darshan and Hari Anubhava. Unless until we have darshan of Supreme Lord, whether physically or within the heart, certainly also. So we cannot experience the presence of the Supreme Lord. We may hear so much about the Supreme Lord. We may see the deity of the Lord. But there will be one day one will experience the presence of the Lord, whether in front of one's eyes or within the heart of a person. Then one will say that Sana Bilashi Tapasi Sitoham Swam Praptuvan Deva Munindra Guhyam Kachan Vichinvan Apidivya Ratnam Swamin Kutatosmi Varamnayache. Like Dhruva Maharaj prayed that, my dear Lord, I was looking for broken piece of glasses, but I have obtained you a transcendental Ratna, which is very difficult for even for the great sages and devatas to obtain. So, my dear Lord, please forgive me that I came to you asking for some material desire, material fulfillment. Please forgive me that I am completely satisfied by having your darshan. I don't want anything else. If at all you want to give me, please give me the association of your pure devotees. That will be the desire of a devotee after experiencing the presence of the Supreme Lord. After having a glimpse of Lord's darshan, that is the only desire one will have. Then Lord says, okay, go, stay in the association of devotees, pure devotees. So by coming in the association of devotees, one executes such kind of pastimes, and gives pleasure to Supreme Lord in such a way that Lord says finally, Naparayeham Niravadya Samyujam Sasada Krutyam Vibudayushapiva Ya Vamapajan Durjara Geha Shrinkala Samvrucha Tadva Patiyat Sadhuna. He said that just like Lord Krishna spoke to the gopis, that what you have done I can never repay. Though in Bhagavad Gita I have told that Ye etamam prapadyante tamstaiva bhajamhyam. I reciprocate with my devotees the way they surrender to me. But I can tell you right now, I can never ever reciprocate with you for what you have done, my dear gopis. What you have done is beyond my way to repay. Even if I have got lifespan of Brahma, I cannot repay you. So here what is happening? The Lord is becoming indebted to a devotee. This is the journey Bhagavatam is showing to us, making the Lord indebted. Today, we are receiving everything from the Supreme Lord. The universe has been given by the Lord. Our body has been given by the Lord. Our surroundings have been given by the Lord. The people around us, the places around us, the living entities around us, everything in a way is given by the Supreme Lord. And the sunlight is given by the Supreme Lord. Wind is given by the Supreme Lord. The earth is given by the Supreme Lord. Everything has been given by the Supreme Lord. We are completely indebted to Supreme Lord. But still, we have one thing that we can give to Supreme Lord. As we discussed in the last class, last week, Srimati Radharani is the expansion of Ladini Shakti. She is the embodiment of Mahabhava Swarupini. And she has one thing that she gives to Supreme Lord. That is her prema, her bhakti. And when a devotee following in the footsteps of Srimati Radharani gives that prema, gives that love, gives that bhakti to Supreme Lord, Lord becomes indebted to the devotee. In spite of Lord giving us the entire universe, if we give little prema to Supreme Lord, the Lord becomes indebted to us. That means, in comparison to bhakti that will be given to Supreme Lord, this entire universe becomes insignificant. And what kind of bhakti makes this universe insignificant, and what kind of bhakti makes the Supreme Lord indebted to such a devotee is indicated in Bhagavatam. And Bhagavatam also talks about how to come to that point where one makes the Lord indebted. So, like that. In order to experience that, what is that is given by the devotee unto me? Lord himself appears as a devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, like that. So, this is the prerogative of Srimati Radharani and her followers, that they can make the Lord indebted to them. That is what Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam shows us that journey currently where we are. Even though a Kali Yuga person may not recognize what Lord is giving to us, but one day, having come into the association of devotees, we may recognize what Lord is giving us. And if you start practicing bhakti, Lord, in addition to giving us this material world, He will also give the experience of spiritual world. Then one devotee says, so my dear Lord, enough is enough. Till now you are only giving, giving, giving. Now it's my turn to give you. Then the devotee starts giving something to the Supreme Lord, which the Lord is hankering for. When the Lord tastes that, Lord says, my dear devotee, what I have given you is nothing in front of what you have given to me. This is the transformation that brings in by following Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is just a brief introduction. So just what we spoke in the last week, in connection to that, I just mentioned about it. So now let's get into Bhagavatam. So how does the Bhagavatam does it? With the help of the 10 topics that are there in the Bhagavatam. We have 12 cantos. We can take them into 12 topics also, but 2 corollary topics plus 10 important topics. So in total, there are 12 topics which will help us understand what Lord is wanting from us and how to do that, how to give that to the Supreme Lord, how to come to that platform to make the Lord indebted to all of us. So let's move on. So there are so many slides. I may not spend so much time on each and every slide, but we'll try to briefly go through all the slides and try to touch upon the important aspects of all these topics that are presenting in the Bhagavatam, which will help a devotee to travel from this material world to spiritual world. The first canto can be treated as the preface. Just like when an author writes any book, there is a preface. What are the circumstances in which this book has been compiled? What inspired the author to compile this book? And what the author want to teach us, what the author want us to learn from this book. All these topics are briefly indicated in the preface. At the very beginning of the book, all these things are briefly indicated. Similarly, the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is acting as a preface so that we can dive deep into the Bhagavatam with open heart. So now there are three topics that are touched upon in the first canto. The first three top chapters talks about the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vastu Nirdesha. Any book as a particular Vastu which they want to talk about, which they want to present. What is the essence of this entire book? That is Vastu Nirdesha. And then who, when, where, why, how compiled this book. So here in the first canto, we also see that what inspired Vyasdev to compile this book, under what circumstances he compiled this book. Such kind of things are there. And then how this Bhagavatam came into the presence of the people in general, and who are the characters in this book, and what this book is meant for, etc., etc. We can see in the rest of the first canto. Here are the three sections, here are the three topics that we can understand from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we see that Bhagavatam begins with the sages of Naimisharanya asking 6 questions to Sutta Goswami. What is the most beneficial goal for humanity? What is the essential teaching of all the scriptures by which the intellect of the faithful is pleased? What is the purpose of Lord Krishna's disappearance from Devaki? What is the Lord Krishna's purpose of appearance from the womb of Devaki? And then describe the pastimes of Lord Krishna, who has all the avatars within him. That means describe the pastimes of Lord Krishna, describe the pastimes of Lord Krishna's various avatars. So then, where Dharma has taken shelter, now that Lord Krishna, the Dharma personified, has departed. So these are the various questions that are asked by the sages of Naimisharanya, for which Sutta Goswami says that the answer to all your questions is Srimad Bhagavatam, which was compiled by Srila Vyasdev, which talks about Bhakti. Bhakti is the most beneficial goal for humanity. Bhakti is the essential teaching of all the Vedic literatures. Bhakti is the purpose of Lord Krishna's appearance. Bhakti is the essence of the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Bhakti is the essence of the pastimes of all the avatars. And Bhakti is the ultimate dharma. And that Bhakti is understood from Bhagavatam. Bhakti took the shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in that way, we have to understand. And that Bhakti is described in Bhagavatam. And that Bhakti for whom? Is Bhakti for whom? Is Bhakti for Durga Devi, Bhakti for Lord Shiva, Bhakti for Ganesh, Bhakti for Indra, Bhakti for Surya, or for whom? That is also indicated in the first part of the first canto of Bhagavatam. So in 3 chapters, we understand from 3 important things: Sadhaka, Sadhana, and Sadhya. Bhakta, Bhakti, and Bhagavan. The prospective candidate for practicing Uttama Bhakti, which is Uttama Sadhana, in order to attain the Uttama Sadhya, that is Sri Krishna. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken to all of us who are born in Kali Yuga, Prayana Alpasha Sabhya. And what is that one thing which is giving us the most beneficial goal in our life? Savai pumsham paro dharma eto bhaktir adokshaje. Ahetuki apratiyata yatma suprasidati. So this is very well known in ISKCON. For newcomers, we perform the 6 session course. We conduct the GISA introduction course. The first topic is searching for happiness. All of us are searching for happiness. Whatever we are doing, ultimately we are looking for happiness. But happiness for whom? There are three personalities. There is a personality known as a gross body. There is a personality known as subtle body. There is a personality known as Atma. But for whose happiness we are looking for? People in general, at max, they are looking for physical happiness. Some people who are intellectual, they are looking for intellectual happiness. Some people who are emotional, they are looking for emotional happiness. And only very rarely, very few people looking for the happiness at the level of spirit soul. But here Bhagavatam says that the paro dharma, the prema bhakti alone can give happiness to Atma. Suprasidati, not superficial happiness. Complete happiness the Atma can experience only when the Atma comes to the platform of prema bhakti. Otherwise, whatever happiness that we experience in this material world, either it will be on the physical level or on the emotional or mental level. It cannot be on the spiritual level. The spiritual happiness one can only experience only when one comes to the platform of Bhav Bhakti or Prema Bhakti, which is called as Paro Dharma or Uttama Bhakti unto Lord Adokshaja. So who is that Adokshaja? Adokshaja is Ete Chamsha Kalapumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Rudayanti Yuge Yuge. The Adokshaja is Bhagavan Swayam. The Swayam Bhagavan is Krishna. And that Krishna also has many manifestations, all the variety of avatars who appear time and again to establish the principles of Dharma in this material world. But Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. Krishna is Adokshaja. When one practices Uttama Bhakti, Paro Dharma, unto this Adokshaja, unto that Swayam Bhagavan, unto Lord Sri Krishna, our Atma will be completely satisfied. Of course, even Lord Krishna's expansion, such as other avatars, also will provide us complete satisfaction to the Atma. But that satisfaction is on the level of Dasya Bhava. So mainly Aishwarya Bhakti and Dasya Bhava unto other avatars. But for Lord Krishna, Gopala Krishna, that can be at the level of Mahabhava. So in that way, the Uttama Bhakti, Uttama, which is called as Uttama Sadhana, and the Uttama Sadhya have been briefly established in the very beginning of Bhagavatam. Any Kali Yuga person who currently at this state, if they want to attain Uttama Sadhya, that is Bhagavan Sri Krishna, they need to take shelter of Uttama Sadhana. They need to come to the platform of Prema Bhakti. Then only they can make Sri Krishna indebted to them. Otherwise, not. We remain the taker and Lord remains the giver. We remain indebted to Supreme Lord only. In order to make Lord indebted, one need to practice Uttama Bhakti. So that what Bhagavatam is giving us. This is the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. Bhakta, Bhakti and Bhagavan. So Vyasadev, in nutshell, in the beginning only says that I want to teach you about these three things through my book known as Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Vyasadev says when and why, where I compiled this Bhagavatam. And this book is known as Idam Bhagavatam, Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi, Nishreyasaya Lokasya Danyam Swasti Ainamat. For what purpose Vyasdev compiled this book? Nishreyasaya Lokasya. Shreya means ultimate benefit. Nishreyasa means the complete ultimate benefit. There is nothing beyond that. And that makes all our lives completely perfect. Danyam Swasti Ayanam Mahat. So that is known as Bhagavatam, which is non-different from Supreme Lord himself. How it is non-different to Supreme Lord? Krishna Swatamopagate Dharma Jnanadibi Saha Kalau Nasta Drusham Esha Puranarko Adunoditaha. When Lord Krishna departed, having performed his one pastimes for 125 years, taking along with him Dharma, Jnana, Aishwarya, Vairagya, all these opulences. But again he came back in order to show the light in the dense dark Kali Yuga in the form of the son of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Bhagavatam alone will show us the right direction, will give us the light by which we can go back to Godhead. So that was for the first 3 chapters. Then the 4th chapter again so Shaunaka the Rishis asked some questions. Please narrate the few stories related to the Supreme Lord. That means you told that Bhagavatam is the Vedic literature which talks about the pastimes of Lord Krishna and all his avatars. Please tell about all the pastimes. And when, where, and for what reason did Vyasadeva write this book? Who inspired him to write this book? And also, this Bhagavatam is the conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. How, when, and where Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj met with each other. And please talk about Parikshit Maharaj's birth, death, activities, and renunciation. All these things, please speak about. So these were the inquiries made by Shaunaka the Rishis, for which Sukadeva Goswami talks about them one after the other. So in the beginning he said, after the departure of Lord Krishna, at the very beginning of Kali Yuga, understanding the need of the hour, Srila Vyasadeva compiled all the Vedic literatures for the benefit of different kind of people. Chaturhotram karma chuddam, in order to purify our karmas. For those people who are not inclined for the practice of jnana, yoga, and bhakti, Srila Vyasadeva compiled the 4 Vedas, which describes karma yoga. And for those people who are inclined to practice bhakti, Srila Vyasadeva compiled Itihasa Puranas. And for those who are not qualified to practice, qualified to hear the Vedas, Srila Vyasadeva compiled Karma Shreyamsi Bharata Makyanam, Mahabharat. So even for those people who are not qualified to practice karma, to practice jnana, to practice other Vedic injunctions, for their benefit he compiled Mahabharata. That's why Mahabharata is said to be the scripture of masses. It is meant for each and everyone. And then he also compiled Vedanta Sutra for those people who are inclined to practice Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. In spite of writing all these Vedic literatures, he was not satisfied. Then Narada Muni came and explained what was the reason for his incompleteness. What was the reason for his dissatisfaction? He said that Bhavata Anudita Prayam Yesho Bhagavato Amalam Enai Vasona Tusheta Manne Darshanakilam. Even though you have written the Vedanta Darshana, which is known as Vedanta Sutra, at the end of writing, after writing all these literatures, he wrote at the end Vedanta Sutra, which is the essence of all these literatures. But still, if the writer is not satisfied, then what to speak of the reader? You are not satisfied in spite of writing Vedanta Sutra. How can your reader will be satisfied? The reason is you have not glorified the Supreme Lord sufficiently. Vyasadeva says, no, my dear Lord, I have glorified the Lord everywhere. Then Narada Muni says, Yata Dharmadayas Muni Varyanu Kirtita Natata Vasudevasya Mahimai Anvadita. To the extent you have glorified Dharmartha Kama Moksha, To that extent, you are not glorified bhakti. That's why you are not satisfied. Why? Somebody might ask, hey, what is the specialty of bhakti? Is bhakti superior to dharmartha kama mokshas? Yes. Etaddi atura chittana matra sparshachaya muhu pavasindhu plavo drushto haricharyanu varnanam. Especially in the Kali Yuga, a conditioned soul in the Kali Yuga who is not qualified completely to practice Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga, etc., etc. Bhakti, the only hope. A Kali Yuga person is like a drowning person in the middle of the ocean. What can save that person is a boat, a transcendental boat, which is nothing but Bhakti. Why? What is the specialty of Bhakti? The Bhakti specialty is Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasha Abira Shumba Yavana Kashadaya Ye Annacha Papa Yadapashraya Shraya Shuddhanti Tasmai Prabhavishnave Namaha. All these people, Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulisha, Pulunda, Pulkasha, Papa Jiva, etc., etc., they are not qualified to practice Karma Yoga. They are not qualified to practice Jnana Yoga. They are not qualified to practice Ashtanga Yoga. But they can practice Bhakti. Anyone and everyone without any preconditions can practice Bhakti. Because in order to practice Karma Yoga, one need to be married, one need to be twice born. That means one need to be Brahman initiated. Upanayana Samskara should be done for them. Only they are qualified to practice Karma Yoga. In order to practice Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, one need to be Vanaprasthi or Sannyasi. In a way, traditionally, the twice born are only Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmanas. That means Karma Yoga can only be practiced by Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and Brahmanas. Then Vanaprastha can be taken by Kshatriya and also Brahmana. So only Brahmanas and Kshatriyas can practice to some extent Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. Okay? But especially Jnana Yoga to be completely practiced by a sannyasi, which is only for Brahmanas. Even a Kshatriya cannot take to sannyasa. Only Brahmana can take to sannyas. That means, in a sense, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga completely a Brahmana can practice, not others. Others can practice only to some extent, not completely. But for Bhakti Yoga, no need to be worried whether one is a Vaishya, Brahmana, Kshatriya, or whether one is twice born or not. Even if one is born in Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasha, Abira, Shumba, Yavana, Kasha, Adaya, etc., etc., and Papa Jiva also. In spite of being born in so and so family, even if one performs sinful activities, also still one can practice Bhakti and perfect one's life. That is the glory of Bhakti. That Bhakti can deliver any conditioned soul who is drowning in this material existence, Bhava Sindhu. Bhakti comes in the form of a boat. And Bhakti saves one by becoming the boat. Bhakti delivers one from this material existence. And Bhakti does not see whether one is qualified or not. Bhakti only sees whether one is eagerly practicing Bhakti or not. If one starts practicing Bhakti, Bhakti delivers everyone and anyone from the clutches of material existence. But for other sadhanas, there are so many restrictions. Anyone and everyone cannot practice Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. They need certain qualifications. So that is the glory of Bhakti. So for practicing Bhakti, no restrictions. Tevai vidanti atitaranchija devamaya Sri Shudrahuna Shabara Apipapa Jiva यदि अद्भुत कर्म परायण शील शिक्षास तिर्यक जना अपि किं वो श्रुतधारणया. Even तिर्यक jana, even animals can attain perfection by the practice of bhakti. Then what to speak of human beings who can hear and understand and practice? The only qualification is one need to hear and follow. That is the only qualification for the practice of bhakti. That bhakti is spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam. Without any prerequisites, without any requisition, without any qualification, anyone and everyone can practice bhakti. That is the glory of bhakti. That bhakti is talked about. You talk about that bhakti. So because all other Vedic literature are people specific. Anyone and everyone cannot be able to follow all those things. You write a literature, such a literature which is meant for everyone. Because in Kali Yuga, no one is qualified. In order to save the most unqualified person, bhakti is the only solution. Please write that bhakti which will take the most unqualified person to the topmost qualified destination. That is the instruction of Narada Muni unto Srila Vaibhav. Even Narada Muni also belongs to one such most unqualified situation. He was the son of a Shudrani in the previous life. But by practicing bhakti, he has become what he is today. He has become the ambassador of bhakti. Lord Brahma had many children, and Lord Brahma given different responsibilities to different children. All the great sages, great rishis, and all the prajapatis, they have become the teachers of karma yoga. The great prajapatis like Vasishta, Pulaha, Kratu, Angira, Marichi, Bhrugu, Daksha, Atri, all these great sages, they have become the ambassador of karma yoga, the teacher of karma yoga. And then the four Kumaras, Sanata, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara, they became the teachers of Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. Jnana, Vairagya, Tapasya, and Ashtanga. These four things are taught by the four Kumaras. And Narada Muni, the dearmost son of Brahma, gave him the topmost wealth that Brahma possesses. That is Shuddha Bhakti, which is considered the topmost wealth of Brahma. And Brahma offered the topmost wealth to Narada Muni to present it to one and all without looking at any qualified or unqualified. Patra na patra deki, deke stana stan. So without looking at somebody is qualified or not, without looking at some place suitable or not, anyone and everyone at every place can practice bhakti and go back home back to Godhead. And Narada Muni became the ambassador of that bhakti. That Narada Muni is instructing Vyasdev as his representative to write a book for the well-being of Kali Yuga people who are not qualified to practice Karma Yoga, who are not qualified to practice Jnana Yoga, who are not qualified to practice Ashtanga Yoga, as they are taught in the Vedic literatures. We may be practicing Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, you can see people around us, but they may not be able to practice completely as it is supposed to be practiced. So like that. Then, being instructed by Narada Muni, Srila Vyasadeva compiled Bhagavatam. For what purpose? Anarthopashamanam sakshat bhakti yogam adokshaje lokasya ajanato viddam chakre shashvata samhita. He compiled Srimad Bhagavatam for the ultimate benefit of Ajanata, ignorant conditioned souls of Kali Yuga. So it is like that. Even though when he compiled all the Puranas and Ityasas, there was a book known as Bhagavatam. So Vyasadeva edited that book and rearranged that book in such a way that the glories of pure devotion service come forward. So that is indicated in this verse. Sa sammitam bhagavatam krutvanu chatmajam sukam adhyapayam asa nivritti nitaramuni. Having rearranged the previous Bhagavatam and renaming it as Srimad Bhagavatam, he taught that Bhagavatam to his son Sukadeva Goswami. And that Sukadeva Goswami eventually spoke the same Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj on the bank of Ganga. When Parikshit Maharaj understood that in 7 days I am going to die, I need to understand what is the ultimate goal of life and what is the means to attain that ultimate goal of life. So in order to give answer to these two questions, Sukadeva Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So under what circumstances these two people came together? That is the rest of the first canto. So in that way, we understand in the first canto, the first step in our journey back home, back to Godhead is understanding Lord Krishna, Krishna Prema at the goal and Bhakti at the means. So this is the first step in our spiritual journey. In order to start Bhakti, we need to have a glimpse of what Bhakti is and why Bhakti should be our means. That understanding we get briefly in the first canto. And for what purpose and for whom Srila Vyasadeva compiled this Bhagavatam, that also we can understand. Bhagavatam is compiled for the most unqualified people of Kali Yuga. The Vedas are compiled for the qualified people who are Dvijas, who are twice born, who are qualified to read, study, understand the Vedas and follow Vedas. But for the unqualified people, Bhagavatam. Those who understand this, they start diving deep into the Bhagavatam. Others, they'll be looking here and there and try to understand what is what. So in that way. So finally, Sukadeva Goswami came and Parikshit Maharaj understood that 7 days he is going to die. He requested Sukadeva Goswami to speak Bhagavatam. And Sukadeva Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam. In that assembly, Sutta Goswami was there. Eventually, the same Sutta Goswami spoke the same Bhagavatam to Sesha Naimisharanya. In that assembly, some other Guru was there. He spoke the Bhagavatam to in a different assembly. Like that, in the Guru Shishya Parampara, we are hearing Bhagavatam today from our Acharyas, from our Guru Varga. So this is why, this is how the Bhagavatam came all the way to us. And it is our duty to preserve this Bhagavatam so that the future generations will get Bhagavatam. Because of the influence of the British education and British governance and British culture, majority of Indians have forgot our true wealth. Instead, we are running after the imaginary wealth. In the Bhagavatam, 4th canto, I suppose, the allegorical story of Puranjana, there also, and also in the 5th canto, the forest of material enjoyment. There the one word comes, Gandharvapuri, Gandharva city. Gandharvapuri means the city of imagination. It is brightly shining. Indirectly, Srila Prabhupada translates the Gandharvapuri as golden palace. And whoever looks at golden palace immediately gets attracted to it and runs after that. But that is a illusory thing. It is not a real thing. Similarly, all of us in the modern Kali Yuga running after same Gandharvapuri. And from today's terminology, Gandharvapuri means money. In the past, Gandharvapuri means gold. In today's terminology, Gandharvapuri means money. It is showing its glitterance to us, and everyone is attracted to the glitterance of the Gandharvapuri, and we are running after that Gandharvapuri. In order to make that Gandharvapuri is mine, it is mine, it is mine, it is mine. We are chasing after it to acquire it. Each and every one of us running after acquiring this money, 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 money in the modern day, giving away the real wealth of Sanatana Dharma. That is Bhakti. Bhakti is the real wealth, according to Bhagavatam. That's why in the first canto, Kunti Maharani says that Namo Akinchana Vittaya. My dear Lord, you are the wealth of Akinchanas. You are the wealth of the most impoverished. You are the wealth of the most unqualified person of this Kali Yuga. What is that? Lord Krishna in his two features. One feature is Bhagavan, other feature is Bhakti. Bhakti and Bhagavan is the true wealth of the most unfortunate conditioned soul of the Kali Yuga. Instead of that, we are running after Gandharvapuri. In order to remind us what is the true wealth behind which we should be running after, Parikshit Maharaj asked the question, Ata pruchami samsiddhim yoginam paramam guru. We say na successful. Who is the most successful person in this world? We may say that who enters into Fortune 500, who enters into Forbes record. So that is the world norm. But according to Parikshit Maharaj says, what is the complete perfection? Please tell me. And in order to attain that complete perfection, what we are supposed to do? Especially for a person like me who is about to die. And throughout one's life, in order to attain that highest perfection, what we are supposed to hear, what we are supposed to chant, what kind of duties we are supposed to do, and what is the thing we are supposed to contemplate upon, what kind of bhajan we are supposed to do, and what we are not supposed to do. All these things, please tell me. So like that. In Telugu, in the Telugu states, Telangana and Andhra, every parents, they think that they have become successful if they send their son to US. Sending their son to US is considered the perfection of their life. Most of the Telugu state people. That may be the case with other people also, but because this I have seen and I've been hearing about this, so I can talk about it firmly. Most of the Telugu parents consider that if they are able to send their son to US, they think that their life is perfected. But Bhagavatam has something else to say. Lord Rishabhdev in the 5th canto, chapter 5, text number 18, Rishabhdev says that Gururna sasyat swajaneno sasyat pitana sasyat jananina sasyat daivam na sasyat patim na sasyat namochayed samupeta mrutyum. If a person cannot deliver, he is dependent from the cycle of birth and death. They don't have any right to become guru. They don't have any right to become friend or relative. They don't have any right to become mother or father. They don't have any right to become their worshipful devata. And they don't have any right to become husband. These are different roles and responsibilities that we go through in this world while living here. We don't have any qualification to become. I'm sorry to say, I'm not criticizing anybody. The last 1 week, we have been seeing Ganesh Chaturthi. People very pompously kept Ganesh and worshipping Ganesh. And we are worshipping Ganesh as one of our worshipable Devata. And for Ganesh to be considering as Devata, I mean, from the Ganeshji point of view, Ganeshji can consider himself as a Devata. If we ask Ganeshji, please tell me by what I can be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Then Ganeshji will attain the qualification to be called as Devata. If we ask Ganesh that, Lord Ganesh will be very happy to tell us by doing what we can attain freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Then Ganeshji really happy to be called as a Devata. Otherwise, if we put Ganesh Pratima and asking for small things, then that is actually we are demeaning Ganeshji. That is not the thing makes Ganeshji as a Lord. Or in that reason, anyone, the parents become parents, the husband becomes husband, the guru becomes guru, the friends become friend, relatives become the relative, and our worshipable deity becomes worshipable deity. Any devata for that matter, Ganeshji or Hanumanji, or in that matter, Vinayaka, anyone. People have different devotees, Lord Shiva, Durga Devi, Kartikeya, this, that, Surya, Indra, anyone you may think. They become the devatas only when we ask them, please tell me by what I can go back home back to Godhead. When they help us attaining our journey back home back to Godhead, then they become the devatas. Then they are the worthy recipients of our respect. Otherwise, we are simply falsely giving our respect to them, and they are unnecessarily accepting that respect without doing their duty. Unless until they do their duty, they are not qualified to take the respect. So like that we have to understand. So it is not a ordinary responsibility in this material world for a person to become husband, for a person to become mother, father, friend, relative, for a person to become a devata, for a person to become ultimately guru. The first and foremost responsibility of one and all is help others come out of the cycle of birth and death. That can be done by Bhagavatam. If everyone, all these people, if they are pointing us at Bhagavatam, then they are doing their duties properly. Otherwise, they are failed to do their duties. Without doing their duties, if they receive the respect, being called as parent, being called as friend, relative, and Daiva and Guru, they are simply receiving and they are not doing their duty. That means they remain indebted to others. They remain indebted to their subordinates. So it is a tough job. So it is like that. Okay, I have taken a lot of time. Any questions till now, whatever we discussed? Because the first canto is the main important, the fundamental. I have taken good amount of time. If devotees have any questions, please. We'll take some questions now and then we'll move on.
No,
Hare,
Prabhuji, no question.
No, someone might have.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mother.
Prabhuji, you were explaining about particular varna or particular ashrama, means karma yoga, jnana yoga, and ashtanga yoga, like that you were explaining. That is for particular type of people, brahmanas, Kshatriyas, or kshatriyas and brahmanas, like that. So means if somebody is following that, suppose jnana yoga, then they will not be able to accept the means others, Vaishyas and Shudras, they are never supposed to follow that, or they will not be able to follow that because of the type of mentality or the intelligence, like that. It should be.
First of all, they will not be able to follow. That's why Shastra says they are not qualified. Unnecessarily putting upon them, Shastra by default says, because this person is not able to tolerate such kind of things, so better don't to unnecessarily force him. So like that.
Okay, so because of their mentality mindset, they won't be able to follow. That is why they will.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
See, for example, a Kshatriya can endure so much physical pain in the battlefield. That's why they can go to battlefield and they are chivalrous to fight in the battlefield. And if you ask any other ordinary person, so they'll come back after one injury of one arrow. They'll say enough is enough. मुझे कुछ नहीं चाहिए. मैं जाओ मैं वन में जाके जीऊंगा. Such kind of person cannot be qualified to be a kshatriya. Same way, in order to practice jnana yoga or ashtanga yoga, one need to go through lot of intense tapasya, which all of us discussed in the fourth canto. When Prithu Maharaj went to forest, what did he do? Having gone to Vanaprastha order, what all he did? Anyone remembers?
Yeah, he followed the yoga system properly, and then finally.
Details.
I don't remember so many details, Prabhuji, but like it was said that he merged this element into that element.
No.
Then
Not that.
like,
That is giving up the body. Even while practicing tapasya, he performed the maximum possible extent of tapasya hardships. What are that? In the winter, submerging himself into the river water, which is very cold. In the summer, he is open to sun without any proper clothes, only cowpin alone, and putting fire in all four directions. Normally, while cooking, if there is little fire, so when we are doing some food items, if the spoon is already hot, if we unnecessarily touch that, there is so much fire. And we put burner, we put bandage, and for 2 days we keep telling everyone, see, देखो, मेरा हाथ burn हो गया, मेरा हाथ burn हो गया. Are we qualified to practice Vanaprastha duties?
no.
Simple. It is very easy. Not that everyone cannot do the hardships. That's why Shastra says, in order to pulling everyone, Shastra default says, you are not qualified, you are qualified. You can do, you cannot do. In the beginning only tells who is qualified, who is not qualified, so that other people stay safe. Instead of prematurely going there and unnecessarily coming back after one day.
Thank you,
So,
Prabhuji. Just small one thing after discussing this, is there any difference between what we call as a yoga and Ashtanga yoga? Ashtanga yoga and Ashtanga yoga are different or they are same?
see, normally Ashtanga yoga is called as yoga, but to be more precise, yoga means the process of connecting Jivatma with Paramatma. So what is that process connecting us back to Paramatma? It is Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. All these processes are taking us back home back to Godhead. They are helping in way, directly or indirectly, to go back home back to Godhead. That's why all these processes are called the process of connecting us back to Supreme Lord. But Ashtanga Yoga, many times it takes more space to write or more space to. So for grammatical rules, they only just mention yoga, or sometimes they call it as Vairagya. Wherever in the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita we see the term Vairagya, sometimes it stands detachment, other times it stands Ashtanga Yoga. So contextually you have to understand.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Also
Hare
part
Krishna
of
Prabhuji.
Yes,
think,
Mataji.
yeah, I understand that Ashtanga Yoga, as you said, is yoga, but Ashtanga Yoga is the physical postures, exercises which are done to bring the, as you said, mind to the Lord, to unite. This is the physical part of it.
No. In that also spiritual part is there. What you are talking about is only asanas. Asanas
Only
and pranayama is the physical
Yeah.
part. And
Yeah.
beyond that, we have pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. They are completely spiritual.
Yes, those are the different ones. Right.
Prabhuji, and Hatha Yoga
Hare
is
Krishna.
also part of Ashtanga Yoga only.
See, Hatha Yoga is also a kind of Ashtanga Yoga, little bit different path of Ashtanga Yoga. They are all like brothers of Ashtanga Yoga. Hatha Yoga, Kriya Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, this yoga, that yoga, they're all brotherly, sisterly Ashtanga Yogas.
Yeah, because what Prithu Maharaj did, that similar kind of things are done in Hatha Yoga also. That
Everyone is same only, but thoda deviation here and there.
okay, and it is means authorized by the scriptures, Hatha Yoga also. Huh?
If the purpose is to go back, come back to Godhead.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, yes. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to clarify. We always that there are 1800 shlokas in Bhagavatam, and Bhagavatam starts with some shlokas. Means exactly Bhagavatam starts from where, and means there is a history of Bhagavatam that this Bhagavatam was said to these, and means what exactly Bhagavatam starts, because there is in Bhagavatam there comes a reference that Krishna also told Bhagavatam to Uddhava, and now Vyasdev told to Narad Muni. So all this is history. So when Parikshit Maharaj, Dev Goswami told Parikshit Maharaj, from there Bhagavatam starts, or all these previous shlokas are also there? Or
All
I'm
these are
just
part of
confused. That's
Bhagavatam.
why.
Everything is part of Bhagavatam, starting from Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yata Anvayaditarata Chartita Vishnasvarat. From the first shloka to last shloka, everything is in the part of Bhagavatam. And the same Bhagavatam only talks about what is going to happen in the future. When Srila Vyasadeva compiled at the beginning of the Kali Yuga, just Lord Krishna departed, Mahabharata is just over. But what Parikshit Maharaj is going to do in the future, he is going to forest and Shamika Rishi and Shringi, all those things will happen after 25 years later. In advance only he wrote about it.
Okay.
And what is going to happen after that? Sutta Goswami speaking to Shaunakadi Rishis, that also he wrote in the Bhagavatam. And even after that, what kind of rulers are going to rule Bharata Varsha? All the way up to Chandragupta Maurya and afterwards. Also wrote in the Bhagavatam by Srila Vyasadeva. So these are all there because Vyasadeva is the Trikalagnya. He knows what is going to happen in the future also. So he wrote about all those things.
Okay.
Even
This and all
even the Purana say
these
that
are written
Bhagavatam
by
contains. These are written by.
Vyasdev itself.
Yes. Everything has been
The
compiled
first
Vyasadeva.
shlokas.
Yes. With our modern mindset, we may think that, oh, how can he write about the future? If he has written something means he can write up to what happened till now. He cannot write about the future. That is our modern logic. But we cannot apply modern logic to Bhagavan. Vyasadeva is non different from Bhagavan only. So can't he write what is going to happen in the future? If he can't write what is going to happen in the future, how can he be Bhagavan?
I was under impression that whatever the conversation between Srimad Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj happened, from there the Bhagavatam starts. So in that sense, I thought that the previous one is also.
That we may think like that, but it is not. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So if no one has any questions, we'll quickly take 2-3 minutes break and we'll resume our discussion in 2-3 minutes. Just small break. Hare Krishna. Devotees are there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
So we'll continue with our discussion. So
Yes,
we briefly seen that what is bhakti, for whom bhakti is meant, and by practicing bhakti, what we attain. So all those things briefly we saw. Then now, when Parikshit Maharaj asks the question that what is the highest perfection and what is the means to attain that? So what one is supposed to do as part of the sadhana, Shravanam, Kirtanam, etc. things. So answer to that, Srila Sukadeva Goswami speaks in the first 10 chapters of the second canto and the next 4 chapters of the third canto. In these 14 chapters, in brief, he summarizes what bhakti is, where bhakti stands in relation to other processes, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, etc. And who is that destiny attained by all of us? Who is that Bhagavan? And among all the Bhagavans, who is the topmost Bhagavan? Why is topmost Bhagavan? Etc. A brief glimpse have been given in the entire second canto. So in the first 3 chapters, we can see that the excellence of bhakti over karma, jnana, yoga, and devata worship. So this is indicated in the first 3 chapters. Sakama karma and devata worship is rejected. Ashtanga yoga, which is after following Nishkama karma yoga and then jnana yoga, if one takes to Ashtanga yoga, that is recommended for yogis. But bhakti is proposed by Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami says that for a devotee like you, my dear Parikshit, bhakti is recommended. Even though you have 7 days, that is fine. Nahi atos anya shiva panta vishata samshrutau iha vasudeve bhagavati bhakti yogo eto bhavet tasma sarvatmana rajan hari sarvatra sarvada shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyo bhagavan ranam. There is no other auspicious path more than bhakti. Because this bhakti alone brings one to Prema Bhakti platform, which controls the Lord completely. All other processes may give one Sahyajya Mukti only, but it is bhakti alone can give us the Supreme Lord Himself. And that bhakti contains Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. There are 9 processes to be performed in that bhakti. Parikshit Maharaj immediately says, my dear sir, please wait. I don't have so much time to practice all these 9 things. Tell me one thing to practice. Then Sukadeva Goswami says, Pibanti ye Bhagavata Atmanam Satam Katamrutam Shravana Putesh Samrutam Punantite Vishaya Vidushtashyam Vajanti Tatyarna Sarohrankitam. This is the highest perfection. What is the highest perfection? Attaining shelter at the lotus feet of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. In order to attain that, there are 9 means. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. But, my dear Parikshit, for you, Shravanam is enough. For you, the suitable means is Shravanam. Being a Kshatriya, being a person who is about to die in 7 days, for you, Shravanam is the most suitable process to attain the highest shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, which is the highest perfection. How many of us? Us means not the practicing devotees. Us means all people all over India and other countries are endeavoring to attain this particular goal. So that we need to inquire ourselves. And like that, Sukadeva Goswami has indicated that bhakti is the highest means. Even as of today, even though we don't have the aspiration to get shelter at the lotus feet of Supreme Lord, even for fulfilling our other aspirations also, bhakti can be the suitable means. Akama sarvakamova mokshakamova udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham para. Even for all other ambitions also, bhakti can be the suitable means. Etavan eva yajatam iha nishreyasodaya bhagavati achalo bhava yad bhagavat sangata. But that can be accomplished only in the association of devotees. Only in the association of devotees, yad bhagavat sangata, we get the strength to practice bhakti. We get the courage to practice bhakti. We get the determination to practice bhakti. And we remain patient to practice bhakti till we attain the destiny. Otherwise, we become restless. So, like that. And this is my opinion. Like that, Sukadeva Goswami says. Others might say karma, jnana, yoga, all these different things. But my opinion is bhakti. So then Parikshit Maharaj says, oh, my dear Lord, you said I have to hear. Then please speak. Bhagavan ke baare mein bolte raho. Please speak about the various past and supreme Lord. To start with, speak from Vishnu Leela, Purushavatara Katha, Srishti Leela. Please speak about how Lord Vishnu created. In order to speak about the Srishti Leela, Sukadeva Goswami takes the conversation that took place between Narada and Brahma, wherein Brahma speaking about the creation of the entire universe. Then Brahma spoke about the pastimes of the different avatars in brief in the 7th chapter of the 2nd canto. After that, he says, whatever I have spoken till now in the last 3 chapters is known as Bhagavatam. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Enme Bhagavatoditam. And this Bhagavatam I directly heard from the Bhagavan himself, Swayam Bhagavan, Vishnu himself. Sangrahoyam Vibhutinam Twameta Vipuli Guru. I have told everything in brief, Sangraha, in brief. But you expand it and speak to everyone. For what purpose? Yata Harau Bhagavati Nanam Bhaktir Bhavishyati. You speak in such a way that whoever hears, Bhakti should manifest in their heart. For the purpose of manifesting Bhakti in the heart of each and every devotee, whatever I have spoken to you, expand it and present it to each and everyone, whomsoever you meet, speak about Bhakti. Hearing which, Bhakti should manifest in their heart. Make this as a sankalpa. Iti sankalpa varnaya. My dear Narada, make a sankalpa that whomsoever you meet, speak about Bhakti, so that the Bhakti Ankura will manifest in their heart. That is the goal, that is the purpose. So, Lord Brahma gave the instruction to Narada Muni. Narada Muni gave that instruction to Vyasa. Vyasa gave that instruction to Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya gave that instruction to other Acharyas. Even today, all our Guru Varga, all our Acharyas, and many of you following in the footsteps of same thing. Whomsoever you meet, talk about Bhakti, so that the Ankura Bhakti will manifest in the heart of the hearer. That Sankalpa is taken by Narada Muni at the beginning and it is continued even today also. If that is our Sankalpa, we are representing Narada Muni. We are following the instruction of Lord Brahma. So, this was the instruction given by Brahma to Narada. Whoever among us says that we are coming in the Parampara of Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Parampara, then first of all we need to make this Sankalpa. Whomsoever we meet, we should speak Bhagavatam in such a way that the sprout of bhakti should manifest, should appear in the heart of the hearer. Then we can say that we are part of Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Parampara. So like that. So then Sukadeva Goswami stopped. Then Parikshit Maharaj became a little bit annoyed. So Sukadeva Goswami is in a hurry to leave this place. I need to keep him for 7 days. So Parikshit Maharaj asked 21 questions in the 8th chapter. And he tells, so my dear Sukadeva Goswami, don't think that I am feeling hungry. I am not at all interested in drinking and eating. I have taken Prayapa Vesha Vrata. That means fasting till death. You please continue to speak. Then hearing all these questions, Sukadeva Goswami says that in order to answer all your questions, I need to speak Bhagavatam, which was originally spoken by Lord Narayana to Brahma, Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasa, Vyasa to me. And that Bhagavatam contains 10 qualities. Tasma idam Bhagavatam Puranam Dasalakshanam Proktam Bhagavata Praha Prita Putraya Bhutagrat. So my father spoke to me, and he heard from his guru, and they heard from their guru, like that. Brahma spoke to Narada in the beginning, and Brahma heard from Lord Narayana himself. And that Bhagavatam contains Dashalakshana, 10 qualities. What are the 10 qualities of the Dashalakshana Bhagavatam? Atrasarga Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamutaya Manvantareshanukata Nirodho Muktirashraya. These are the 10 qualities of that Bhagavatam. 10 qualities? Very difficult. Then Sukadeva Goswami says that Dashamasya Vishuddhartam Navanam Iha Lakshanam Varnayanti Mahatmana Srutena Artena Anjasa. He says that actually there is only one topic, that is Ashraya. But in order to appreciate the 10th topic, the other 9 topics are spoken, so that we can really appreciate the 10th topic. But in essence, what is Bhagavatam is talking about is the 9 topics are talked about a jiva's activities in the material world. 10th topic is talks about jiva's activities in the spiritual world. Sarga, Visarga, Sthana, Poshana, Uti, Manvantara, Nirodha, Mukti, all these 9 topics are talking about what is happening to a jiva while living in this material world, and what is happening to a jiva who want to go back to Godhead. What does he do while living in this material world? Having gone through these 9 stages of life, ultimately when one goes to spiritual world, what he will do in the spiritual world? That is talked about in the 10th topic, Ashraya. So we may say that we want to go back to Godhead. Okay, Baba, I will go to Godhead, but what I will do after going there? A glimpse of that is also told in the 10th topic, Ashraya. What you will do after going there? What kind of Nityalila is going on there eternally? That is spoken briefly in the 10th topic. That's what Sukadeva Goswami tells in the 10th chapter of that 2nd canto. But in order to go through these 9 topics, in order to be patient, to wait till we reach 10th topic, that is 10th canto Bhagavatam. In 3rd canto, first 4 chapters, Sukadeva Goswami briefly talks about what is that Ashraya. So who is that personality? In order to attain whom, we need to go through all these 9 topics. That is Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna's pastimes in brief are mentioned in these 4 chapters. Chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, wherein Vidura, having traveled all the pilgrimages, ultimately he comes to Maitreya. He comes to Uddhava. He meets Uddhava in Vrindavan. And there Uddhava says, Lord Krishna departed. All the Yadavas departed. So after saying that, he remembers all the pastimes of Lord Krishna that he performed in brief, he tells. That means the Krishna Lila is spoken very briefly in the very beginning. So that this is like a trailer. So that we are patient enough, we are peaceful to go through the entire movie to come to the climax. So in the 4 chapters, especially second and third chapters, talks about Lord Krishna's pastimes in brief, Ashraya in brief, so that we have enough patience to stay awake till the 10th canto. Then Uddhava directs Vidura to go to Maitreya so that he can get to know about in detail the entire Bhagavatam, wherein Vidura comes to Maitreya. He meets him Haridar. There he makes certain inquiries. As an answer to that, he speaks third canto, starting from chapter 5. So before that, from the second canto 10 chapters, third canto first 4 chapters, we understand that the position and the importance of Bhakti and Bhagavan in comparison to other parallel things. What is the position of Bhakti among Karma, Jnana, Yoga, Bhakti? And what is the position of Bhagavan among various authorities? So all these things are established. And Uddhava introduces Lord Krishna's sweet pastimes in brief as foreshadowing, like a trailer in the beginning only, so that we are patient enough to go through second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and then 10th canto. So now we very briefly go through all these cantos. So time is up. In third canto, in brief, there are 2 topics are touched. One is what is the process of creation and what is the purpose of creation. So the creation done by Lord Vishnu, the primary creation of the material elements, and by the combination of those 24 material elements, how unlimited Brahmandas are formed, and then Mahavishnu expanding himself into Garbhodaksha Vishnu, entering into each and every universe. So here you can see some photos. Mahavishnu, he manifests unlimited Brahmandas by creating Pradhana, by glancing upon Pradhana, by impregnating Pradhana with Kala, Karma, Swabhava and Jiva Shakti. He produces 24 elements. Then by combining all the 24 elements, he produces unlimited Brahmandas. And then entering into each and every Brahmanda as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, he manifests so many other things eventually. What are they? First, Garbhodaka ocean, then ether. Then from the Garbhodaka ocean, there is a beautiful lotus. And then entering into that lotus as its Paramatma, Kshirodaksha Vishnu. He creates Lord Brahma on top of that lotus. Then that Brahma, empowered by Lord Vishnu, divide the lotus into 3 divisions and eventually into 14 divisions, the 14 lokas. Then, in order to fill these 14 lokas, Lord Brahma manifests so many physical forms for the different living entities who live all over the universe. The sages live in the upper lokas, Maharloka, Janloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka are inhabited by the great sages like Pulasya, Vasishta, Kratu, Bhrugu, 4 Kumaras, Narada, etc. They reside here. Devatas reside in Bhurloka and Swargaloka. Gandharvas, Apsaras, Kinnaras, Kimpurusha, Siddhacharana, Vidyadharas, Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Agnis, Maruts, they all reside in the Bhurloka and Swargaloka. And then human beings and animals live in the Bhurloka. Asuras and Rakshasas, they live in the Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala, etc. etc. All this is done by Brahma. Like that, unlimited universes have been manifested by Lord Vishnu and Brahma and Brahma's children. So this is how the creation takes place. The process takes place. So Brahma creates the trees and plants, aquatics, reptiles, birds, animals, human beings, devatas, pitrus, asuras, etc., etc., etc. And also he manifests all the great sages as the ambassadors of different sadhanas. And also, third canto talks about something interesting. Yes, the material universe has been created. Yes, the material body has been created. Yes, the different variety of planets have been created. For what purpose? To fulfill our material desires and also to go back home back to Godhead. And one may say, so what do you mean by go back home back to Godhead? Yes, one need to go back home back to Godhead because that is our eternal home. The process of going back home back to Godhead is explained in the teachings of Lord Kapila, wherein Lord Kapila talks about Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Karma Yoga. These are the processes which will help one directly and indirectly to go back home back to Godhead. Now the next question is, so what do you mean by Godhead? What is that? It is Vaikunta. Then how does it look like? The Vaikunta has been described elaborately in the 15th chapter of the third canto. That's how Vaikunta looks like. Where everyone cooperatively trying to please the Lord by their service. Brungadipe Ivagayamana. Even the great birds can sing very nicely. They become silent when Brunga starts humming, as if glorifying the Supreme Lord. There they only have one thing, serving the Lord, glorifying the Lord. That is Vaikunta. Without any inferiority, superiority understanding. So one may say that, so what? I am happy here, let them be happy there. But Bhagavatam also gives a case study that, so my dear friend, you have come from there only. You actually belong to that place. You are supposed to go there. You are not supposed to stay back here because you don't belong to this place. Case study is how Jaya and Vijaya came from Vaikunta and became living entities here in this material world. Then one may ask question, okay, by that is fine, that is all okay, too much is happening. Did anybody go back to Godhead by practicing the teachings of Lord Kapila? Yes. By practicing the teachings of Lord Kapila, Kardama went back to Godhead. Devahuti went back to Godhead. And you and me also can go back to Godhead. So in that way, the whole third canto talks about two things. What is the process of material creation? What is the purpose of material creation? The process is how Lord Vishnu, how Lord Brahma, how Prajapatis are creating. The purpose is we need to practice Nishkama Karma Yoga. Better than that Jnana Yoga. Better than that Ashtanga Yoga. Better than that and best is Bhakti Yoga. This is the purpose of creation. The purpose of creation is to inspire us to take up one of the sadhanas, especially Bhakti Yoga, in order to go back home back to Godhead, just like Devahuti and Kardama by practicing Bhakti Yoga went back to Godhead. All of us also should go back to Godhead. Yes, Baba, I have understood. So what is the purpose of the creation? What is the process of creation? Everything I have understood. Now I have to go back home back to Godhead. Okay. Now what I am supposed to do? I need to practice Bhakti. Having understood the relationship between me and the Supreme Lord, me and the material world and the Supreme Lord, having understood Sambandha Jnana properly, now I have to start Abhideya. That is Bhakti. But Bhakti is not easy. While practicing Bhakti, we may go through so many difficulties, so many problems. What are all the different problems that can come across in the life of a devotee? They are briefly indicated in the 4th and 5th cantos. The 4th and 5th cantos briefly tell us what are the different difficulties that can come in the life of a devotee and how we can overcome all these problems. The problems are also mentioned. The solution is also given in the 4th and 5th cantos. You see all the problems. Through the various pastimes, we can come across all the problems that can stop our spiritual progress. From Daksha's pastimes, anger, envy, pride. From Mother Sati's pastime, excessive attachment for bodily relations, the family members. From the lineage of Adharma, what are the unfavorable elements for the practice of bhakti? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Masara, they are unfavorable elements for the practice of bhakti. From Mother Suruchi, her harsh speech, pride and insecurity. From Dhruva Maharaj, over material ambitions and competitive mentality. From King Anga, not choosing a proper companion, not choosing a proper wife or proper husband in that sense. Either way. King Vena, cruel, mercilessness, arrogance. Indra, insecurity, intolerance and envy. King Prachina Barhi, Karmakanda mentality, ritualistic mentality. Prachetas, anger due to intense tapasya. Bharat Maharaja, misplaced compassion. He went to forest to serve the Lord, but he was serving a deer. Maharaj Rahugana, identity with one's upadhi. I am this, I am that, I am engineer, I am doctor, I am well educated. What you can tell me? What you ordinary sadhus, tilakdaris, what you can tell me? Like that, one may look at us cheaply. So that is the problem. And finally, and whatever is not mentioned in this list, all that is mentioned in the Forest of Material Enjoyment. 2 chapters in the 5th canto, 13th and 14th. Every problem that can come in the life of a devotee is very clearly shown in the beginning of Bhagavatam only. The solution is Vaishnava Sangha, Vaishnava association. The prayers of Dhruva Maharaj, the prayers of Prithu Maharaj, the prayers of Prachetas, all these personalities, they have prayed that, my dear Lord, please keep me in the association of devotees. Nothing else we want. Because association of devotees is the only solution to take away from the problems of the material world. Tulayama lavenapi na swargam na punarbhavam bhagavad sangi sangasya kimuta. So there is nothing superior to Bhagavad Sangha, the association of pure devotees. Bhagavad Sangi Sangasya. The pure devotees who are constantly associating with the Supreme Lord in their core of their hearts. We want to be in the association of that devotees. Why? Why in the association of the devotees? Yatredyante katamrushta trushnaya prashamo yata nirvaira yatra bhuteshu nodvego yatra kashana. Because the pure devotees are constantly worshipping the Supreme Lord by discussing Lord's pastimes, Lord's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, hearing which we lose 3 important impediments to one spiritual practice. What are they? Yatredyante katamrushta trishnayo prashamo yata. The material hankering is completely subdued. Nirvaira yatra bhuteshu. Competitive mentality towards other living entities is completely subdued. Nodvega yatra kashana. What is going to happen? The fear of the future, it is also completely removed. All these 3 things will take place as long as we are in the association of devotees. So please keep us in the association of your pure devotees. They prayed for and they also got. Dhruva got the association of Swayambhu Manu and the sages of Badrikashram. Prithu got the association of 4 Kumaras. Prachetas got the association of Lord Shiva and Narada Muni. They have attained perfection. They went back to Godhead, having tackled all these problems. But for us, they left behind the lesson. And also, from 5th canto, we can see there is a discussion about the different planetary systems, different lokas. There is both heavenly description and hellish description. If we are attracted to Vedic descriptions, you perform this yajna, you will go to this Sargaloka, that Sargaloka, but the problem is, ultimately you have to come back to Bharatavarsha. If you want to follow the shortcuts by performing sinful activities, you want to enjoy the more in this material world, one has to go to hellish planets and enjoy and go through the suffering in the hell. But ultimately, one has to come back to Bharatavarsha. But as of now, we are already in Bharatavarsha. Why you want to perform pious activities and go to Swarga and come back? Why you want to perform sinful activities and go to Naraka and come back? Better practice bhakti and come back to Godhead. So that is what is indicated in the fifth canto. Fifth canto is giving us a warning. Don't become fascinated by heavenly enjoyment. And don't become attracted to sinful activities to get enjoyment here only. Because both will bind you in this material world. If at all you want to come back to Godhead, stick to the path of bhakti. Don't look to the right side, don't look to the left side. Don't look to the pious activities, don't look to the sinful activities. Both will bind us in this material world. So that warning is given in the fifth canto. And in essence, fourth and fifth cantos teach us what are the difficulties that can come in the life of a devotee. What is the solution? And even while living in this material world, there are so many promises that you do this, you will get this, you do this, you will get this, this, that. But no, don't be tempted by those allurements. Sticks to the path of bhakti. So somebody may say that, okay, my dear sir, I will stick to the path of bhakti only. But this material world is the world of dualities. Even though I don't want to perform some mistake, but mistake होता ही रहते. क्या करूं? Sixth canto says that don't worry. Even though if you do mistake, don't do that mistake again. Learn from the mistake. Lord gives you second chance. Even though sometimes knowingly or unknowingly some mistake happen, some galti ho jata hai, but don't do that mistake again. Learn from that mistake and progress on the path of bhakti. And who are the people did that mistake and learned from their mistakes? Ajamila, Daksha, Indra, Chitraketu, Diti. All these people made a mistake and they learned from their mistake and now they are right on their path back to Godhead. Learn from them. That is called Poshana. Poshana is Lord's special favor to his devotees. Even though they make some mistakes in this while living in this material world, because this material world is made like that. We are forced to make mistakes, but Lord gives a second chance. Never ever get disappointed by doing mistake. Learn from the mistake and never do such mistake and move on. That is the assurance given by Lord Vishnu in the second canto. That I have saved all these people even though they have done greatest of mistakes. Then what to speak of the ordinary mistakes? I am always there to you, lift from the ocean of material existence and give you second chance. So that you can prove yourself that you are qualified to come back to Godhead. So Lord is giving us second chance. The examples are all these personalities in the sixth canto. Getting special protection of the Supreme Lord so that we can be set right on the right track. Ajamila, Daksha, Indra, Chitraketu, Diti, all these are examples. We can learn from them. So now, so my dear sir, that is okay. There is the process bhakti we need to practice. There are difficulties we need to overcome being in the association of devotees. And even sometimes because of allurements we may make mistake. Lord is giving a second chance. But in order to practice our bhakti, we need some assistance. Devotees are giving us inspiration, but we need to get some assistance from the society. That assistance is given by Varnashrama Dharma. Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasha. Mama Vartman Vartante Manusha Partha Sarvasha. This Varnashram system has been given by the Supreme Lord in order to help us stick to our practice of bhakti. By the practice of bhakti, we can elevate our consciousness from the consciousness of Hiranyakashipu to the consciousness of Prahlad Maharaj. Even though Hiranyakashipu, like people, constantly torment us, but we may remain steady like Prahlad Maharaj to practice bhakti. That is possible when we are assisted by the path of the Varnashram system, which is explained elaborately in the 7th canto, starting from 11 to 15 chapters. What are the duties of different Varnas? What are the duties of different ashramas? Therefore, relying on the support system of Varnashram Dharma, one can continue one spiritual practice on the path back to Godhead. By taking shelter of devotees at different levels in their company and taking the support of Varnashram system, we can practice bhakti and then we continue on the path back to Godhead. Now, okay, my dear sir, that is fine. We will take the support of Varnashram Dharma only if it is there. What will happen to us when it is not there? Lord says, don't worry. I have arranged a system which will work hard to maintain this Varnashram Dharma intact, taking shelter of which you can practice your bhakti and go back to Godhead. How is it being protected? I have arranged 6 personalities to protect this Varnashram Dharma. So there was one verse, I was looking at one verse. Manvantara, Manurdeva, Manuputra, Sureshwara, Rushayo, Manvantarascha, Hare Shadvidam Uchate. Lord arranged this six Sigma system. What is that? There is Manvantara system. In each and every Manvantara, there is one Manu. And Manuputras, there is Indra, there are Devatas, there are Saptarushis and all other Prajapatis and Brahmanas. And there is Manvantara Avadara. A king from Bhuloka, Indra and Devatas from the Swargaloka, they are cooperating with each other. They are continuously protecting the Varnashrama system so that common people can practice bhakti and other sadhanas and can go back to Godhead. Whenever dharma is declining, the rishis, the acharyas come and teach us what kind of dharma we need to follow. Even when all these 5 people cannot protect the dharma, cannot protect the Varnashrama system, the Supreme Lord comes in the form of Manvantara avatars. And there are 2-3 examples in the 8th canto. The Lord came during the various Manvantara avatars, in the various Manvantara periods. How? At the time of difficulty, Lord comes and protects all the devotees and set rights the Varnashram Dharma and gives them the proper facility to go back to Godhead by taking shelter, by practicing bhakti under the shelter of Varnashram Dharma. When there are difficulties, Lord inspired Devatas to make truce with Asuras and perform Samudra Manthan. And Devatas got nectar and they remained in the proper position so that they can protect Varnashram Dharma. When there are further difficulties, Lord appeared as Vamana and took away the heaven from the Asuras and gave it to Devatas. And by the way, tomorrow is Vamana Dvadashi. Tomorrow is the day when Lord Vamana appeared and Lord Vamana went to Bali Maharaj, where he was performing the 100th Yajna to continue to become the Indra. But Lord Vamana took the entire world from Bali Maharaj and gave it to Indra. Because Indra is appointed, Purandara is appointed as Indra for this Manvantara. And Lord Vamana told in Bali Maharaj, if you want to become Indra, you become Indra next Manvantara. Till then, keep quiet. For now, I have already assigned Indra position to Purandara. Let Purandara continue as Indra. Because Indra is taking care of the universe properly, let him take care. You want to take care? You take care in the next tenure, not now. That's how, whenever there is a huge problem, the Lord comes as Manvantara Avatara, set rights when the other 5 people are not able to protect the Varnashrama Dharma. So all these things we can see in the 8th canto. Protection of the support system by re-establishing the Sadharma, the Manvantara Avatara system. With the help of that, Lord protects the Varnashrama Dharma so that all of us can practice our bhakti under the protective shelter of Varnashrama Dharma. So yes, sir, there is Varnashrama Dharma. There is inspiration. So there is a protective system. But in order to practice bhakti, I need some inspiration. I need to constantly get inspiration day by day. That's why we have daily Bhagavatam classes in which we regularly hear about various devotees and various avatars. How various avatars appeared, how various devotees appeared, and how they did all these things. So that is all given in the 9th canto. Inspiration, constant and daily inspiration to practice bhakti by hearing the pastimes of different avatars of Supreme Lord and his various devotees. Avataranu charitam ares chatyanu vartini pumsham ishtakata prakta nanakyanopa. So 9th canto talks about various devotees. 9th canto also talks about various avatars. Notable examples of Ambarish Maharaj, Rantideva about Bhakti, Katvanga Maharaj and Nimi about Vijnana, Ayati Maharaj, Saubhadri Maharaj and Pururava about Vairagya, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. In that way, basically, Vijnana is about the transcendental knowledge and Vairagya is about detachment from this material world. All these people are suitable examples of all these different sadhanas, and we hear about all these personalities in the 9th canto. So that we have sufficient inspiration to practice bhakti till the time we reach the destiny. So what is the destiny? 10th canto. Ultimately, one will go back home back to Godhead. Having gone to spiritual world, what you will do there? One will serve the Supreme Lord in various rasas. Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vasalya, and Madhurya. Continuously for the rest of eternity. One may serve the Lord in these 5 rasas, either in Goloka Vrindavan, or in Madhura, or in Dwaraka, or in Vaikuntha. According to a devotee psychophysical nature, in whichever destiny one want to go, one can go. In whichever form of the Bhagavan one want to serve, one can serve. No issue. But, however, among all these ways of serving, among all these means of serving the Supreme Lord, serving the Lord as gopis is the best form of service to Supreme Lord. That is also indicated in the Bhagavatam 10th canto. Because only to the gopis, Lord Krishna told, Naparameham. Lord Krishna did not tell anybody else, Naparameham. Because the gopis bhakti is the topmost bhakti, topmost Pama bhakti. It doesn't mean that others are not serving the Lord, others are not giving the happiness to the Lord. But the happiness the Lord experiences by the service of the gopis is the topmost. That is established in the 10th canto. So, in that way. Thus, a trailer of the Ashraya has been given. Having gone to spiritual world, what you will do, how you will serve the Supreme Lord in various rasas is briefly mentioned in the 10th canto. So, all these things are there, we will not see. So, different ways of serving the Lord, different means of serving the Lord. So, now, having heard about all these things, having understood what we will do having gone to Supreme Lord, having gone to spiritual world, definitely one should become completely attracted to Supreme Lord. Feeling attraction for Lord Krishna's eternal pastimes and desire to be part of it. By the time one comes to 10th canto, one's desire to be part of this Leela, Nitya Leela, should become strong. Either part of Vrindavan Leela, or part of Madhura Leela, or part of Dwarka Leela, Ayodhya Leela, Vaikuntha Leela, even entering into Brahman. That should become strong, 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 strong. Now there should be only one question. My dear sir, I have heard everything. I have also, my eyes are wide open. I want to be there. For that, I need to practice bhakti. You have spoken about bhakti in the 3rd canto long back. Please tell me once again what to practice and how to practice. Reiteration of the different sadhanas to attain the ultimate goal, ultimate perfection sadhya. That is 11th canto. In the 11th canto, again, Sukadeva Goswami reiterates what Lord Kapila spoke in the 3rd canto. He reiterates in with the help of 2 conversations. One conversation that took place between Narada and Vasudeva. wherein he speaks about how Navayogendras talked about the path of bhakti to King Nimi. And the second conversation is Lord Krishna's conversation with Uddhava, that is known as Uddhava Gita, advanced version of Bhagavad Gita. And these two sections talks about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, to be more precisely, Uttama Bhakti, Ananya Bhakti, practicing which one can become the part of the Vraja Leela, Madhura Leela, Dwaraka Leela, Ayodhya Leela, Vaikuntha Leela, even finally Brahman Leela also. No problem. One should become attracted. So again, 1 year about sadhana. Then one starts practicing sadhana. A intelligent person having gone through all these cantos should take up the path of bhakti very seriously, having understood what are the different problems are going to come, what is the mechanism by which one can come out, and what are the allurements one should be careful of, one should be warned about, and even if we make mistake, how Lord will help us by giving a second chance, and whose shelter we should take, the varnashrama, and how it is getting protected, how it is maintained, and what kind of inspiration we should be getting regularly by hearing about the pastimes of the Lord's various avatars and various devotees. So then we can go back home back to Godhead and become part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's Nitya Leela. But if we don't listen to this Bhagavatam, if we don't take the teachings of this Bhagavatam, what will happen? We continue to wander in the cycle of, in the repeated cycle of birth and death in the material world. So what kind of repeated cycle of birth and death that continues in the material world is described in the 12th canto, Nirodha. The fearful condition of the material existence, samsara, for a non-follower. There are three kinds of pralaya that are mentioned in the 12th canto. Nitya pralaya, Naimitika pralaya, Prakritika pralaya. Nitya pralaya means every day in, day out, we are taking birth and dying. How long this can continue? This can continue till the end of the Brahma's day. At the end of the day of Brahma, what will happen? During the day of Brahma, we can go to Abrahma, Bona Loka, Punravartana Arjuna. We can go all the way up to Satyaloka, or all the down to Naraka Loka and come up to Bharata Varsha. But it will continue till the end of the day. At the end of the day, all the 14 lokas are destroyed, and we will enter into the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And the next day, again, all the 14 lokas are recreated. We again get a new body and perform newer activities. Even if we don't take bhakti seriously, we may continue to do this day after day of Brahma till the end of Brahma's 100 years. Then there is Prakritika Pralaya. All the Brahmandas are completely destroyed. Then we enter into the body of Karnadaksha Vishnu. When he breathes out, again new creation will create. Then again we'll enter into a new universe and continue to perform other activities. There is no end to this material existence. But if we work hard to practice bhakti, we can go to Atyantika Pralaya, that is destruction of our Ahankara. Mithya Ahankara we can destroy and go back to Godhead. Sarvapadi Vinirmuktam Tatparatvena Nirmalam Rishikena Sevanam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. Giving up all our material identities, I am this, I am that. If we engage all our senses in the service of Supreme Lord, we can show to Supreme Lord that, my dear Lord, see that this entire life I am serving you. If you take me to spiritual world, I can serve you for the rest of eternity. I am the guarantee. We have to give that confidence to Supreme Lord by serving our one lifetime fully. If I can serve you my entire life, I can serve you for the rest of eternity. That assurity one should give to Supreme Lord. Then Lord will take us back home, back to Godhead. That is called Atyantika Pralaya. That is our final destruction. We don't have to come back to this material world once again. So this is how in 12 stages, by 12 cantos, Srimad Bhagavatam is helping us how we can go from the material world to spiritual world and become the part of Lord's Nitya Leela. That is Bhagavatam in brief. And finally, the last shloka for today's discussion is from Harita Samhita. It is known as Artha Panchakam. Whatever we do at the very beginning, we should be clear about these 5 things. Otherwise, whatever we do does not have any meaning. What are the 5 things? Whatever we have discussed till now in the Bhagavatam, everything is very crisply summarized in this one verse. Praptyasya brahmano rupam praptuscha pratyagatmana praptupayam phalam chaiva tatra tata prapti virodhicha vadanti sakala veda sa itihasa puranaka. All the Vedas, all the Itihasas, all the Puranas are only talking about these 5 things in summary. What are the 5 things? Praptyasya brahmano rupam. What is that we want to get? What is that we want to attain? We want to get shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So there are 2 things. Shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Who is Lord Krishna and where he is? He, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is in Goloka Vrindavan. So we need to understand about Goloka Vrindavan and we need to understand about Lord Krishna also. That is called Brahmano Rupam. We need to understand about Brahmano Rupam, the form of the absolute truth. And then Praptuscha Pratyagatmana. Who is supposed to understand about him? We, the conditioned soul, the Jivatma. Why we need to understand about Bhagavan and Bhagavatam? Because we are an Amsha of the Supreme Lord. We need to understand about our relationship with the Supreme Lord and about our current condition and what should be our actual condition. We need to understand about all these things. Then we can make an endeavor to go back home back to Godhead. Okay, we have understood Sambandha Jnana. Who is the Supreme Lord? Who am I? What I am supposed to be? I am being Amsha. I am supposed to serve the Supreme Lord, but I am stuck up in this material world. How can I go back to Godhead? Praptupayam. What is the upaya to go back home back to Godhead? Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga. Take the help of all these things. Praptupayam phalam chaiva. So having gone there, what will I do? I'll be serving the Supreme Lord in Prema Bhakti. When we practice sadhana bhakti seriously, we attain Prema Bhakti. We attain Shuddha Bhakti. But while practicing sadhana bhakti before attaining Prema Bhakti, there could be so many difficulties. Tata Prapti, in order to attain that phala while practicing sadhana bhakti, what are the obstacles? We should know in advance all the obstacles. Otherwise, when the obstacle comes, we are disturbed. घबरा हो जाएंगे. ये क्या हो रहा है? क्या चल रहा है? So like that. So this is Bhagavatam. This Bhagavatam is trying to help us go back home back to Godhead by teaching us all these things. Who is the Supreme Lord? What is the spiritual world? Who are we? What is our relationship with the Supreme Lord? What is the relationship with this material world with us and with the Supreme Lord? And in order for us to go back home back to Godhead, what are the means? Having gone there, what we will do? And while going there, what are the difficulties can come? Everything we are mentally prepared in advance so that one is not disturbed when problem comes. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for being patiently hearing till now. So, before closing, any couple of questions quickly. Hare Krishna. Your voice is not audible. Yes. Rajeshwari Mataji, you are speaking something? You are saying
No.
something?
No.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Wonderful class. Amazing. Everything in a nutshell you told very nicely.
No, it will not become wonderful by hearing. It will become wonderful when we practice.
Yes.
It will become wonderful when one go back home back to Godhead.
Yes.
So, of course, I just repeated whatever I have heard from our seniors, but even I also need inspiration to practice this. All of us need inspiration. So we need to be reminded time and again what we are supposed to do and how we are supposed to do, by which we can remain on the path of bhakti till the time we reach the destiny. So that's what. Okay. Other devotees?
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
One
On
second,
this,
one second, Mataji, just 1 second. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, on this slide, it is written that on the full moon day of the month of Bhadra, one
Hare Krishna,
places
Mataji,
Srimad
please wait. Hare Krishna, Mataji, please wait 1 minute. Yes, Prabhu. I'm in 5 minutes, Prabhuji, I'm coming. 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Mataji, please tell me. Now you tell me.
Prabhuji, what is that golden throne?
That is, there is a verse in the Bhagavatam. See, golden throne is basically the altar. Praushtapadyam purnamasyam hemasimha samanvitam dadati yo bhagavatam sayati paramam gatim. So basically, during the 7 days, the Bhagavatam should be worshipped just like we worship the deity. By both, by worshipping through the arati process and by worshipping it by hearing. Then, on the day of Bhadra Purnima, the same Bhagavatam should be given in charity to a qualified teacher, so that that teacher can teach this Bhagavatam to hundreds of other people.
Okay.
That is the understanding. So this verse comes in the 12th canto of Bhagavatam, one of the last verses.
Question. Hare Krishna.
To a
Prabhuji.
teacher, not anybody. Not
Sorry?
anybody other than. To
Yeah,
a teacher, it should be donated.
Teacher means everyone can become teacher, na? See, take the
Everyone can become.
the
Who is
Chaitanya
already
Mahaprabhu
teacher
instructs the
should-
Kurma Brahmana. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs the Kurma Brahmana. My dear Brahmana, stay here and become Guru and teach whatever I taught to you, one and all, and by that you become Guru.
Okay.
So in that way. That means qualified teacher means those who want to practice bhakti and help others to practice bhakti is the teacher. So that kind of person can be given the Bhagavatam as a charity on the Bhadra Purnima. So,
okay, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Prabhuji, I
Krishna.
have one doubt regarding that the Bhagavatam. Actually, this Bhagavatam started on the Radhashtami and then supposed to end by this Bhadra Purnima. But my logic is that since the Bhagavad Gita is 700 sloka and is 18,000 sloka, so if he is continuing for giving discourse at night and day also, most probably. So it will take maximum 3 days to complete the complete Bhagavatam. And even we see this in this Brihad Bhagavatam Rit also it describes that after the completion of Bhagavatam, her mother approached and told ki you tell me what your guru means Sukhdev Goswami had told about Bhagavatam. So how these 7 days has come, that is my doubt.
See, Prabhuji, Mahabharat was happening in the battlefield. There is urgency. The battle has to stop. So Lord Krishna very briefly in a 1 or 2 muhurtas, he quickly wrapped up the entire Bhagavad Gita. Even same thing, Bhagavatam के लिए 7 दिन तो है, but here at least 7 days are there. So Sukadeva Goswami might not have spoken with that super fast Rajdhani, or nowadays what is that? Vande Bharat.
Vande Bharat.
उतना स्पीड से नहीं गया था. इधर very contemplatively the discussion might have happened. So it took 7 days.
But this how this Brihad Bhagavatam this story come, because after this Bhagavatam.
See, in the Bhagavatam it is not there. In the Bhagavatam it is not there. Sukadeva Goswami Bhagavatam clearly says Sukadeva Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam and he left.
Okay.
And there is some gap in between. That time Uttara came there and Uttara not came there. Uttara was there only.
Okay.
And Uttara might have come there then, because all the men were sitting in the assembly. Whether women were there, we don't know. Now Uttara came because Uttara, being a mother, she want to see before her son departs. So Uttara came and she understood all these great sages are hearing and Bhagavatam, and the great source Sukadeva Goswami came. He said, please tell me in brief, before you leave, please tell me in brief. So he speaks about the Gopakumara story in brief.
But that
And
also
then,
3 book. But this is also 3 book, Prabhuji. That means
see, Prabhuji,
yeah,
please wait.
yeah.
What is spoken in nutshell, Sanatana Goswami elaborated and wrote in the big book.
Okay, okay.
Okay, please understand like that.
Yeah.
Three
Okay.
books are with commentary, not with the shlokas. What they spoke only shlokas, not the commentary.
Mm.
If you only count the shlokas, the shlokas also might be some 700 shlokas only, not more than that. Like
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita, one murta, he might have spoken in one murta.
Mm.
So don't worry, don't worry.
Yes. Thank
It
you,
can
Prabhuji.
happen.
Actually, that is why my clarification. I just
So
want to know.
no problem, no problem.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. So please, I will share the recording also. Those who are interested, you can go through once again. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to go through this. And those who are interested to go through details in detail, you can take the book from our bookstall also, Bhagavatam and Seeker Journey. That book, I'm just given the snippet of the entire book. And that book has got all the details. And most of our Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav students, I personally gave them in the class only. But others, if you want, you can take. Otherwise, also okay. So we'll meet next week. We'll directly start the 7th canto, starting from the first verse, and we'll discuss from next week onwards, canto 7 onwards. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Grantara
Hare
Srimad
Krishna.
Bhagavatam ki jai. Yes, Mataji.
Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the inspirational
The book, the book in the
narration of
gist of
Bhagavatam in this auspicious week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji, you are saying something?
No,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji, I
you said
just said
gist of
thank you very
having
much.
one book.